possibly having a contract with him, but I haven't gotten anything back yet, so.
Well, I'm just thinking industrial park, if you had somebody, some guy would say, hey, you know, all of a sudden I got some, I don't know, whatever, some company wants to come in, they're gonna hire 50 people, he knows about the facility, he's gonna get some money for, you know, being an agent and, you know, bringing those jobs in. I think the number is like 3 years, you have to maintain it for 3 years, and he gets $25,000 or $50,000, depending on the number of jobs. And it was a scale of how many jobs came in. Am I correct? Something like that?
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just something you don't pay anybody unless you give me results. I mean, it's like,
John, I noticed thing in your report that we still don't market the Toronto area. Eh? We don't do anything in Toronto.
The county does trade shows in Toronto. I've tried direct mail marketing that far, and had a couple meetings, but we just seem to be too far away for Toronto.
okay. Any questions for John?
It's a big market. It's unfortunate that we aren't like.
Well, I was thinking about the two ports up in that area, you know, Oshawa and the other port up in that area, and I was just wondering if there was, you know, should we somehow, you know, make sure they know we're on the map or something. I don't know.
Well, I meet with, whenever we go to meetings, we meet with the people from Oshawa
Okay.
and Hamilton.
Yeah.
They know us and we know them. So.
Okay, thank you. Director of Operations, Steve Lawrence.
Just touch on a few things on the bridge. We had our 2012 biennial inspection. We had a exit interview with the inspectors, and basically the one thing that came out of that is some of the deck beams corrosion's just starting to catch up with us. We had 6 or 8 repairs in 2010. Now we're up to 10 to 12, and they prioritize them, so we're going to work on them this fall, but they're going to result in, there'll be a yellow flag condition on those beam repairs, and that's, you know, that brings it to our attention. We've got to get to those by the end of, by early next year to get them all repaired, but they prioritize them.
Is it like welding stuff or structural
No,
stuff?
it's,
You gotta change
it's
gussets
what it
or
is
anything like that, or?
no, you might see something the size of maybe a baseball in corrosion that's really,
just corrosion.
yeah, and it's mostly on the U.S. side. It's on the Canadian-bound lane, because you're drawing on, it's mostly corrosion from road salt and sand, and then on the Canadian side, it's in that lane. You'll see that the rust goes out farther on each end.
More salt used on that side?
It's about even.
Is it even?
Yeah, yeah. But you see, even with the open deck and the rinsing from the rain and stuff like that, there's still, you see more rust on the northbound side for us, and then on the southbound side for
All it
them.
takes is a pinhole.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
But we've completed all our safety hand lines there now. They're working, and Majeski prioritized that, so we're going to take those one at a time there. But that was the main thing that came out of it. Other than that, all the issues of the new, you know, wasn't a whole lot of issues on the new railing and the new decking. Those are things that go away. Like there was some fatigue cracking in the decking in the center spans. Well, that's gone away because it's all brand new. So one end of your list goes right away, and then, you know, these other things that are still out there, kind of, it's more of a, it's not a straight line thing. It's starting to just, we can see that there. So, you know, we need to put quite an emphasis on getting some of these things. We need to see some funding here in the next couple of years, or that's just going to be beyond our control with that. So I've discussed some of this, Wade's aware of this, and we hope to use that to generate some, you know, funding here on the bridge.
I think I noticed on the bridge in the center line, like the new part, very difficult to see the...
Yeah, it's on the galvanizing, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to see it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what the...
Well, we used to, when I got here, we could, any kind of, they used to just spray the decking every year with a light Vista green paint.
Yeah.
Then they do the lines. Well, now what's happened is we don't paint that anymore, so it's got a rust color, so you tend to see the yellow easier on that rust color than you do on the galvanized.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's even faded whatever you
Yeah.
have, so.
yeah, and
How often do
we're,
you do that now, paint it?
we're really limited because it's open deck. You've got to use that
Well, you gotta
dry
cover it.
fall paint,
Yeah.
and it's quite a, really 7,000 feet of it. And you've got to. We just had it done last year. That was the first time in 9 years. So,
Wow.
but I know what you're saying. It didn't come out on that galvanizing as well as I would have
No,
liked.
it didn't, the contrast wasn't there.
Right.
It's a little-
And the reason you see the new stuff on it, like I said, is the rust on the old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, just to add something to the biennial inspection, I'd like to do what they've done in the past with the executive summary, make sure that the board gets a copy.
Yeah.
In addition, all the photos so that we can see some of the things that we're talking about. And also, these photos will make it into our next ask letter for funding, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, something we can go to.
Right.
Yeah, for fun. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was quite amazing to drill holes in it to stop the cracks.
Yeah.
I said, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, due to the last year's construction, and then most of that is all gone now. Any of those fatigue cracks, and that was the one good thing we talked about.
Good.
We don't have to go address. There was like 13 or 14 spots we had to go look at every year,
Mhm.
and that's another thing that's kind of dropped off our list. But then we have to turn our attention onto the deck beams, and that's just an ongoing thing that we just have to keep an eye on.
Did they make a recommendation for funding? To make it critical or not critical? I know.
Yeah, there's certain things I think you draw out of that. I don't think they get into, it's, the engineers write that, and then they kind of
Yeah.
prioritize, like you say, critical things, and I think you could ask them or any other buddy to prioritize that toward,
Yeah.
and I know when we had GPI, they pulled out their inspections kind of along that lines, but they were more involved in the bridge construction then. Yeah. And then today, Collins Engineering, as part of Majeski's inspection, completed the bridge pier. There's 32 piers out there, and they're in a boat, and they do the soundings to see what kind of what kind of wear or anything happens there. That's been pretty stable as long as I've been here. There's been no real issues, but sometimes water level I don't know how that affects it. I know it's way down, so we may see something out of that, but generally speaking, it's been pretty stable. There's not been, in that regard, everything's been pretty good there, so they didn't call me or anything, so I assume there's
Turn the
everything's
phone
pretty good.
on.
Yeah. So I assume they may still be out there, but they were gonna finish up today. Let's see, at the airport, the one thing later on you'll see a resolution for the ARC vehicle there. At the port, Fred, we demoed the locomotive. We used 2 ILA cutters, and basically they were there for about a week. And I got them, and we purchased some larger torches, and they were able to cut all that up into sizable parts. Between we had a dumpster, and basically we put that in there. They'd come and haul that away, and then larger pieces we were able to load onto a flatbed, and they haul away. So we got everything out of there last Friday, and actually quite pleased with the 2 guys I had. They were pretty diligent about that, and no major fires or anything like that. So there was a lot of oil and.
What'd you do with all the oil and the fuel and everything?
I've got somewhere that can go. We've got, I don't know, I got a quarter of a barrel of diesel fuel, and then,
There wasn't a lot of oil in
no,
it.
they had already drained everything out, but when the tanks settled, it all went to one side. There was still quite a bit in there. I think it was more than they could draw out. So, but I need to find a home for that. Smudge pot.
So how much will we make?
Not sure yet, but I know we're over the 100 ton range, and we're 100 tons, and I think we got $204 or $204 or $205 a ton. So That'd be somewhere in the 20,000 range.
Hamburger's more expensive than that.
Did that's from Syracuse?
No, that's from over here in Madrid. That was the best price we had there.
You say $2 a ton?
No,
$204.
200.
Oh, it is more
$204.
expensive. I thought you said $2 a
What was the prices at the end? Did you check the other facilities?
Yeah, I did. Syracuse wanted everything in 4-foot pieces, and that dropped. You know, it was up there, but also you had to worry about your own trucking.
How much was it in Syracuse?
It was close to 300, but cutting it all up, it just wasn't practical as far as that goes. And then hauling it all down there, to draw it down there would have put us right about the same price with that. And then Kimco, they didn't offer. They weren't quite as good as that, and a lot of them want to recoup their pickup expense in your price right there. And then by the time you get an independent person to haul all that.
So we got about 20,000, you think?
Yep. And then there was 2 or 3 barrels where we pulled out all the copper and there was brass, so there might be a little bonus in that.
Yeah.
We separated that ourselves. Actually, you know, like to break open some of those motors, it was, by the time, I don't know, by the time you spent the labor to break them open, but they were able to do it relatively simple. I didn't want to get too complicated in it, but they were able to, I think it was 3 or 4 barrels of we separated, you know, as brass.
So you haven't sold that yet?
Brass and copper. No, that we separated that out and sent that over to the scrapyard. But they'll give us a higher price on that. That I don't know exactly.
Price of copper.
Yeah. So that you know, like when we say the final price there, I expect to see more than that when they summarize the whole thing.
So it costs us, how much to cut it up?
We spent probably, I don't know, I want to say about $1,500 between torches and acetylene and gases. And then you had labor for 2 guys, roughly a week. Fred, I don't know.
Which 2 were they? So that'll help me with this wind turbine analysis because I would have counted
Brett
them.
Crossett and young kid. He's the newest member there. I can't think his name.
Name start with an M?
No. Jeez.
Just email it.
Yeah. But everything, they did everything we.
So it looks like we're going to end up with about $25,000 clear profit.
I don't know about 25 clear, probably gross, you know, maybe
About 20.
maybe 20, 18 clear.
Why don't I suggest this, why don't we go ahead and do up the analysis and get it out to the board, so that way you know exactly what it costs and there's no guessing about it.
Well, you're going to get a good chunk of change for that brass and copper too, so. You got $204 a ton, and how many tons you sit down there?
It's over 100.
Over 100 tons, so we're going to be in the ballpark with what we figured we were going to be. We got $30,000 from the railroad and 20 from them, so that's 50. So there's $50,000 towards our new engine. Or maybe you should overhaul 14.
Maybe you should scrap 14 and put money into
You can do
Oh, is that what it is?
it. That's it.
That's good, Steve. I'm glad to see you got that out of there.
Well, I hope it all shakes out the way we expect anyway.
I just happened to spot Tommy down there and one day, and I see the engine was gone. I said, Jesus, you must have took it. Moving right along.
Let's see. Probably just one other thing. The asphalt top, of course, is on the port access road, and that was all done today. So the rest will be probably they'll be putting in guide rails and striping of them, the new asphalt here. So that's kind of where they're at with that.
So how much longer is Mr. Ballin going to be needed now that we're pretty well, you're done with the port and everything? I mean, do we need to continue him beyond how much longer?
My guess would be probably the end of the month or mid-October. The project was is scheduled to be substantially complete by the end of this month, and that was where we envisioned the term of the field inspector.
I would say probably in another 10 days, the majority of the work will get down to a punch list thing.
Yeah.
But what I did find from the bridge project is the final closeout of the project, it's very important to have the person that was there.
Oh, I
So-
don't disagree with you.
I'm just warning you that we may need him mostly buttoning up paperwork to make sure that.
Well, we also need him on that other aspect that the expert we're bringing in. We need to get that done before this thing comes to a conclusion. We need to get that done. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering how much longer the punch list and stuff, you know.
Well, if everything goes according to schedule, I think I see 10 to 14 days, most everything will be kind of there, and then other things, we can go over to the paperwork end of things. And I was kind of talking with Wade about that today, so Paul's right in line there.
Steve, what's our status with the scale halls and stuff? Where do we stand on that?
There are two options that involve negotiations. We should probably discuss in
Okay,
executive
all right.
session. Well, we've got two alternative paths.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Moving on along with committee reports, just recently the marketing committee met. Do you want to give us an update?
Just that, we had a very productive first meeting. We had some great discussions on our DCG floor plan marketing study. And we have a few items to come before the board for action tonight. It was a great meeting. I thought we had a lot of great discussion, and it's kind of exciting, really. Steve, you got anything?
No, you pretty much have it. And it was fun to be part of something that moved forward.
Okay, facilities committee.
Well, we have a couple of issues we have, and the resolutions are already in here for the full board. One is the vehicle purchase for the airport. The other one is the railroad easement for National Grid, I guess. And that's just about it. They were passed and approved to come in front of the full board.
Thank you. Financial report.
Mr. Chairman, the finance report, I went through that. According to the assignments that you've sent out, I'm the new chairman of the finance committee. And I think the reports are still sent to Mona as the former, and I think that Doug is listed on it, and he probably isn't getting it. Anyway, I went through it in detail. Everything looked fine, but it may be good just to have a written copy of the new committees. I happened to download mine and print it, but so that everybody knows what committees.
You did.
Oh,
I got a copy
Yeah,
of
okay.
it.
We'll also make sure that one is in the board package.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Great idea.
Say that again.
No, I said it was a great idea to have it in the packet.
It might even be nice just to have it stapled on the inside of the packet. So
Yeah.
We'll add it.
Thank you.
Any unfinished business?
There is none.
None. Schedule for next meeting, I have here October 3rd. October 3rd, Wednesday. Okay, everybody?
Facilities at 3 p.m. if needed.
3 p.m. if needed. Okay. All right. Go from there. Okay, let's move along to, that was good.
Three.
Wade, take us through the business items for us.
Certainly, I'd be happy to. On page 10 of your packet is agenda item A1, and that's an approval of a lease supplement with Caller's America Gallery Incorporated. That's for here in the Bridge Administration Building, room 210, at the rates, terms, and conditions that you see before you.
I move the resolution.
Second? Don, second. Comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
On page 12 is agenda item A2. This is a summer employee payment of a 6% clothing allowance. You typically see this each year. This recognizes the wear and tear on clothing for our summer crews. And total dollar amount, $2,362.48, and budget funds are available.
So what does each employee get?
You have
There were
the
10.
Detail?
Huh?
There were 10 employees, so that would average $236.
Is that 6% of what they earn
Of
this
what
summer?
they earn. So it varies from, I think the low was 180 to a high of 320, 330, something like that.
What's the rate of pay for the summer? Is it-
$8.25.
huh?
Most of them are making $8.25.
845?
$8.25.
825?
Do you have a scale, like if they come first year, they get 845, next year if they're hired back, do they get an increase, or how do we do that? Oh, no, I'm just,
We used to do a quarter an
I
hour
think we periodically
raise
adjust it.
okay,
We haven't in
every
a
year,
while.
but we haven't done it in a
We
couple
haven't
of
done it.
years
We
because
don't
of
do it.
employees.
okay. All right.
Do we have standards for what they wear?
They got their shirts.
No, I mean, but I want to say certain people, I'm going to go to the toll booth, whatever, sometimes I'm saying they wear this, they wear that.
Are you talking about temporary people or people?
I'm
that-
talking about all of us people.
The toll booth people have their shirts, and we give them all for each.
Do we have a uniform requirement for people? I mean,
Yeah, it's mostly shirts
Just a
and,
shirt.
and some light jackets or sweatshirts. That,
okay.
And, you know, they don't have to wear the same thing every day, but they need to wear what we've given them, a lot of golf shirts and things
So
like that.
what do we do for a temporary person?
We give them,
They have T-shirts.
yeah, they have basically
Like
our
the
basic,
summer kids
our
wear.
summer T-shirt.
Oh, bright green?
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's-
are they required to wear that?
Yeah, but they, oh, you mean
Temporary
when they
people?
work at the toll booth?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't
I
have
go,
that many.
I don't go pick on names and stuff, but I think we ought to have a standard of presentation of what we look like when we go through, that you look official,
Yep,
okay?
yep.
On a regular basis, not just pick and choose when you want to wear something or not. I mean,
I don't think,
you
some
laugh,
of the-
you laugh. I mean, to me, it's,
No, I'm not laughing at
some of the
that.
temporaries have golf shirts and they have T-shirts with their name.
I know
on
where
them.
you're going, guys. I'm a little slow on that one.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, well, okay. Hey, Walter.
See,
Okay, Walter, careful what you asked for, right?
That's what I was trying to get under where you're at.
I just couldn't help it.
Is that on still? No.
Yes.
But I mean, it's really
Yeah,
seriously.
no, we
it-
try to, I kind of, I assume I know where you're going with that, but we try to maintain all of that. When I get complaints or anything, I have to, we've had to remind certain people
Yeah.
about the dress code and things like that, and we try to maintain that.
I don't
It's
know if
warranted,
it-
though. We should revisit that.
Well,
You know, we've tried everything down there, Sam, and this goes back, and I'm glad you brought it up. But Patty can tell you, we've ordered shirts, we've ordered with their names on them, they're supposed to wear them, you know? You know, maybe we should go a different route. Maybe we should make sure they wear them shirts and stuff, but maybe we should put a thing on their neck,
well,
picture of them with their name on it.
Well, but even though they have the shirts with their name on it, if it's cold and they put a sweatshirt over it,
But that's what I'm saying, maybe we should go to a badge type thing for when they're working.
All people in the county have them to get in. Not me, I have a back. I'm
School
not
bus
there.
drivers all got them now.
Yeah.
They got the picture on it, their name on it.
So you know your official person.
That's right.
Doug,
when I was a Parks and Rec director, and you outfit your summer staff, you know, of course, the first time you give one shirt, and then you get on their cases, and hey, you know, I only got one shirt or one
what are they
sweatshirt.
gonna do?
So then we went to, you know, they each got 3 of them, okay? 3 to 4 of them. So then they didn't have that complaint, and it worked out, you know, halfway decent, but I don't know what.
That's kind of what.
Patty, how many shirts and stuff does the toll booth people got?
well, it depends on who you're talking about. The regular, usually we
Long
order
time.
them, like, they probably got 5 or 6 golf shirts and 5 or 6 T-shirts with their name on it. The temporaries probably have like 3 T-shirts that say crew on the back.
Right. I think them are nice. I see them out there working all the time, you can see
And if
them.
they want
Easy to
another
spot.
one, they come and ask, and I give them
Yeah.
another one.
It's just a thing of getting them to wear them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want
That's-
to begrudge the summer employees this small amount of money, but I guess I'm missing the reason that they're getting it. What wear and tear is it on their clothing?
Jeans, boots.
Jeans,
Yeah.
their boots, sneakers.
Weed
sneakers,
whackers, they
weed
paint,
whacking.
Painters.
they come in,
Yeah.
they do, just kind of all miscellaneous stuff with that, and I know the painting part is the one. and that-
Yeah, well, the
that-
painting part, rather obvious. I guess I was thinking about like, the majority of them would be bridge, painting bridge or something like that. That it would be ruining clothes and whatever. I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with it.
That's a good one. I'll make a motion that we approve the 6% allocated to the temporary employees.
Second.
Comments, questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, over on page 13, agenda item A3 is approval of a use permit with T-Base Communication. This is, T-Base is a client in the industrial park and would like to use the pavilion on September 13th.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Comment, what type of party?
Company picnic, I'm sorry.
Family picnic. So beverages of some sort, is that an issue for us?
No?
No? Yes?
No, we never went into that.
I don't, truthfully, the ones that I've seen out there,
During the
I'm just
day.
saying,
Got their own
policy.
insurance.
Their insurance? Okay.
Sure.
And they can't serve alcohol.
We don't do
without a license.
We're
anything.
not doing that.
No, they can't. If they're having a picnic on your property, they just can't bring alcohol in and serve it without getting in trouble.
If an individual can?
Hopefully they know that.
Individual?
Everybody-
Individual, unless you bar it yourself, yeah. They can bring it.
Okay.
They can still get in trouble by serving minors, that they're not, they're not immune from individual liability for violating criminal statutes. And your job's not to police what they do individually.
No, I'm
That's
not
not
doing
your.
that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I think it's a second, didn't I?
Go ahead, you're all right.
Yeah, okay. I knew you would say that. Do we have a second? Did we?
Yes.
Don, was it Don? Okay.
Agenda item A4 on page 14 is acceptance of the DCG Core Plan Final Report. This is more of a housekeeping thing that we need to do, but as you recall, we solicited requests for proposals for development of an economic development, marketing, and attraction strategic plan for the OBPA. That's quite a mouthful. And based on the action that this body took on March 7th, the plan was prepared and submitted, DCG Core Plan submitted a final report. Based on the discussion of this item at the marketing committee, it was brought forth to the full board to accept the report.
Motion accept?
So moved.
Second, Steve? Any comments, questions? Doug, anything you want to say? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Agenda item A5 is on page 15 is approval of an agreement for website design. This resulted from the DCG Core Plan Consulting, Marketing and Attraction Study. The services associated with the website redesign is a cost not to exceed $19,250. And there's an add-on here as well, that in addition to the website redesign, the staff would be directed to develop a plan and bring that forth to maintain the website once it is redesigned. So hopefully that helps keep it current.
Does that mean that we put in somebody's job description? Of some sort?
We haven't developed the plan yet, but that I
No,
would
but I mean,
imagine
that'll be
that
something
is.
that you organizational-wise will, you sign, okay.
Make that motion.
Steve makes the motion, second?
Second.
Second, Doug. Okay, questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that brings us over to agenda item A6 on page 18. This is development of an industry prospectus. This is for an international business and logistics cluster. This, again, results from the DCG Core Plan report. The fee to perform the services that you see listed there is $8,250.
So this is getting better for DCG, isn't it?
Well, this is what we asked for, that was the plan, to make something happen.
John, you have, for this cluster, you've got a lot of database for us, right? Yeah, go after Marcus. Yeah.
Go over first.
What's the difference between this and the
Ready?
just pay it 1%?
That's for the website redesign, and this one here is so they can develop a business case, basically, that can be used to market to international businesses as well as logistics companies to attract them to our industrial park. So it'll present the best case scenario and the business justification for why they should be here. And we'll take that report or the finished document and we'll market that to Canadian as well as US companies.
So you think this is a good thing?
Yes.
You think we're going to benefit by it?
I hope so.
Okay, I make a motion to accept.
Have a second?
Got you on the record, John.
Second.
Second, Doug?
I'll be checking you next year. Here comes another one.
Any other comments? Anybody comments?
Oh, just that Freddie asked earlier about the Toronto-based prospects, and that's part of that DCG core plan that did say we should look into the Toronto, Ottawa area, so.
Quebec City.
Well, I think we should definitely live in the Toronto area. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but from what I hear through the grapevine of the political powers, Toronto seems to be a little different than some people in Ottawa, and they think different than the people in Ottawa, and they seem to want to be more business-oriented in Toronto without having Ottawa anywhere. Definitely, Toronto and Montreal do not get along.
Yep.
So I just wanted to share it.
It's just that it's, the Buffalo and Lackawanna area is convenient for Toronto versus coming all the way up north to Ogdensburg. So a lot of their expansions happen over there.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, agenda item A7, this is an industry prospectus specifically for something that's very hot in New York State right now, and that's the attraction of a Greek yogurt company. And again, you can see in the bullet points what this does. This is a cost not to exceed $8,250.
What's different about Greek yogurt?
Supposedly healthier for you. I think it's thicker. It's all the rage right now. And
The different flavors and everything too?
Yeah,
There's a different culture to it.
It's an interesting thing because my wife and I are both big into yogurt, but she's a Greek yogurt person and I'm a regular. And I don't know how anybody can put that stuff in their mouth. But it is by far one of the fastest growing markets around for children and stuff like that.
More
And
expensive.
for the Greek yogurt, from what I understand, takes twice as much milk to produce it, right?
yes.
And we had
I'll tell you a
we had
story.
really a lot of good discussions
About the yogurt.
on this, even though this wasn't originally going to be brought forward. The fact that here we are, one of the biggest parts of this thing was look at your resources in St. Lawrence County and how can you use them. We have farming, we have the milk, we have whatever, and yet, you know, I don't think many of us understood it other than Fred, what's produced, how it's produced, where it goes, and that type of thing, and he filled us in. But at any rate, I think it's money well spent, and I was quite surprised, and then I wasn't surprised once we read the newspaper articles that they're looking to build other plants, and they will have to employ more cows in order to do that. So
You got 70% of the market for Greek yogurt is actually manufactured in New York State. 70% of all the yogurt. I agree with Steve, I wouldn't eat it, I like the other kind myself. It's got a different kind of bacteria in it, I think, that's the whole thing.
And there are no, the other important thing here is, and there are no plants slated for northern New York.
No.
That's the important tie in here.
You know, milk in northern New York.
It's all,
The problem.
So they let the milk, it just goes out.
Goes out.
It goes every night,
Yeah.
all the way to Vermont and New Hampshire and,
Yeah. New York.
oh yeah.
Western New York, Pennsylvania.
Ed Picola's running that very well down there. Makes a lot of butter down there in Massachusetts. Every night there's 2 loads of milk that goes all the way to Massachusetts. The switch in Boonville.
The milk and the jobs go right out. with
Boonville. Oh yeah, goes right out every night.
John, for these services.
7 days a week.
I see the perspective is 6 to 10 weeks of doing this. Is this a procedure they're going to use, these people, DCG, for negotiation openings, to do all these type of things? Is that the new plan, for using these services to attract? Be like a recruiter for us, a planner,
Yeah, kind of more like,
an agent?
yeah, that develops the strategy, basically.
How do you see us benefit by this?
Hopefully, it will provide us with good and solid information that we can market to Greek yogurt companies and why they should build a Greek yogurt plant here. That's the whole point of the exercise.
I would add, I think it needs to go further than that as well. I mean, that needs to be brought in here and discussed at the board level, so that way you have the consistent message that we have on this, so you know exactly why a Greek yogurt plant needs to site here in Northern Italy.
Well, what is Upstate Farms? They just completed the yogurt plant in North Lawrence. And, you know, we have yogurt plants here.
Not Greek.
Lawville, huh?
Not Greek. Not Greek.
Well, you know, I'm not sure where you're going with this one.
Fred, you got a hunk of land. Remember, we have the road that goes over to that hunk of land. That'd be a perfect spot since you got water and sewer, Steve said, over in that area. For Greek yogurt plant, they do need access. That's a downfall.
And you gotta get rid of their other stuff too. On top of that, where are you gonna get rid of it?
Yeah. Some of that stuff you can put, they can feed it to cows.
Yeah, you can dry it and turn it
Dry
into
it.
animal feed.
Well, it's at least good to see a dairy product that's recommended as a healthy alternative to other types of things. I think it's an important thing if they're looking to open up plants that we at least look at.
You got so many cheese plants that's been closed across this New York State. You know.
Well, cheese has got bad names.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. I don't see nothing here that we should get $40,000.
Or we're doing the same thing as one before?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really.
Well, here's my thought. I guess it's a trial plan to find out exactly what we understand about this business or not, or don't understand. And if these people present themselves to do the things they say they're going to do, it's well worth it. But I mean, I guess you'll find out if it's really well worth it right off the bat. I mean, if
I've
there's
already
something.
gotten information from them. They're already, doing basic research. So.
Well, research, I mean, this county's done a lot of research for 50 years and nothing's happened. So, I mean, now.
We already got the IDA involved
Yeah,
in
I
this.
know
The
that.
IDA's right into it up there, you know what I mean? You people, Don, don't you, your people have been involved in some of this.
Workforce people? Not so much as like the IDA.
I've consulted with the IDA, and they think this is a good idea. And,
To do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I told them we were doing it, Sonic, and they're doing, and we're gonna meet with the city as well to talk about the former cheese plant. Probably isn't marketable, but it's something we could use to market along with a greenfield site to try and attract one of these companies.
Well, like I say, we got North Lawrence, we got Lafargeville, we got Adams, we've got, McAdams Cheese closed. Didn't save them 200 jobs with a Greek yogurt plant. I'm going to tell you something. I think why would we want to get involved in this part of the marketing? I don't think it's anything we want to get involved in.
Just trying to create jobs.
Where do you create jobs here?
We're going to play it.
Up here, there's no milk up here.
I don't see it as we're.
Help me out here, Fred.
There's milk
I
up
see
there.
it
There's a
as
lot of
we're
milk.
providing the
They go to all these
inputs
guys.
for someone to decide to create it.
That's right.
They just closed the one in
This is
Lawville.
one step toward
sitting there idle.
Marketing is.
You got the one down the city of
Trying
Ogdensburg
to
closed.
convince them to build one here.
Yeah.
You know? Let the city of Ogdensburg spend the money to get these Greek guys here. They got a plant right down there just shut down.
Well, let's go back to your
These
original
guys aren't
statement.
Greek. They produce Greek yogurt, Fred.
No, let's go back to your original point, Fred, is what do we get? What are we gonna achieve within this organization by what they're doing?
We
What's
hope-
our benefits?
We hope to have a nice marketing piece that we can present to the top producers of these, that are building these in New York State right now, and convince them that this is a good location to build a plant.
What are they building right now?
I'll tell you specifically, I think.
There's an unmet demand for Greek yogurt.
There's
a lot of
two in the
Steve's
western
wives
part
out
of the
there that
state,
are
there's one in
big
Fulton
enough.
County, and there's another one, it's in the western part, and then in the central part. But there's two already built and two that are on the drawing boards.
And we have the
And
governor.
they're-
We need the governor's approval on that, right?
We have the
He's not
governor
heavy.
is pushing it hot and heavy for our farmers up in this area to be given all types of breaks in order to bring more cattle. Well, more cattle aren't going to come without more workers of that sort, which means it just kind of grows and broils itself with it. $7,500 to kind of get people to know that there's somebody up here that wants to do it, to let the farmers know that there's somebody who cares about them. I think it's a drop in the bucket for some of the other projects we've looked at.
We also got land that you could sell them too, with the road access and utilities.
Yeah.
Just for reference, and I apologize, not everything's in here, but some of the articles are in here. In your board read packet, there's Yogurt Market editorial by the Watertown Daily Times. That was August 19th. August 16th, dairy farmers discuss meeting demand for yogurt. Farmers brainstorm at Cuomo's Yogurt Summit. August 16th, there has been, trying to think of the one article.
There was a great article in the
That you and I talked about.
Syracuse paper.
Post Standard,
Syracuse paper,
Syracuse
thank
Post
you.
Standard, that
Okay, spend your money. What are you doing? It's gonna be built, it'll be built down there, like you
Hey,
said.
you got the inch of them. You got 20,000.
I'm just saying to you, you got how many plants sitting idle right now? You got Canton sitting idle, you got Ogdensburg sitting idle, you got Yogurton sitting idle.
Well,
You
maybe,
got-
maybe
yeah.
this study, if it's profitable for this area and good for this area, maybe one of them plants can reopen,
Well, you know,
To provide jobs.
we just reopened
you know?
North Lawrence,
Mhm.
okay?
But I think one of the other issues is we're looking at our transportation systems as possibly being an in or out to one of these markets. There must be byproduct, and then once there's that, who knows what the other things can become attached to it. Who knows, but what if the farmers in the area need more feed, that means that we're going to have more feed products come into our port, you know. I just think it's a very, very small amount of money to spend for the workers that, in the coming.
All right, let me add to that, Steve, a little bit, because you look at what's part of the resolution, which is the last part, on page 22. It says what they're going to do, attraction of Greek Yogurt Company to the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority. So what he's saying is, John, if I'm correct, that's coming here. Is that what they're going to look to do, or just pick anywhere?
Well, we want to encourage you to come here.
All right, so we're investing $8,250 to say, all right, bring them here. What's the chances of bringing here and bring them here?
You and Doug ought to be very familiar with cheese plants, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You should be
You're right.
very familiar with them, of what they dump in the sewer systems and everything else. So you guys all,
Yogurt is not cheese.
Not cheese though.
No, everything goes, the
You-
milk all goes into the yogurt. It's not a separation like you're making cheese, where there's whey and cheese, and then you've got the whey to get rid of. So it's a little different.
there's
It's a
still
different
some
process.
waste.
Well,
No, I would think that Daryl Albertine, in the position he's in, ought to be able to give us a little help there, a little, you know. I mean, I know you and Fred are, you know him very, very well.
Where did he come from?
a farm.
Steve, did you make a motion to approve this?
I make a motion that we approve this.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Second.
there it is.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Got a yogurt plant coming. I'll put that in the press tomorrow. Lamachi got yogurt plant.
Greek.
Fred was Greek. Italian yogurt.
Greek yogurt, Italian ice.
Italian yogurt.
Yeah.
Make spaghetti with it.
Well,
Oh, God.
I
Okay,
just-
next one, Wade.
Certainly, over on page 25 is general A8. This is approval of a line of credit with NBT Bank.
I move
In
it.
actuality, this is an extension, not an approval. This was the line of credit that we had set for the bridge project that we didn't use for the Port Access Road project.
Okay, have a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Second.
aye.
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 Fred made a motion,
Go ahead.
seconded.
Okay,
Donnie
Don
did.
seconded it.
Donnie did.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in line.
Okay, on page 26, item B1 is approval of purchase of an ARF vehicle. This is a advanced rescue and firefighting vehicle for the airport. The project numbers you see there. The authority received a single bid from Rosenbauer, Minnesota, in the amount of $280,438. This is a little unusual, as there are only two manufacturers of this vehicle that are available. Given that it went out to bid once and then came back a second time, with one bid, and we're recommending approval of that.
Would the other company know what that bid price was? Or is that a
It would be
secret?
public information.
Oh, so they would have known it's 280 and they wouldn't waste their time bidding it because they wouldn't want it for...
Well, no, they'll know it's, when it's approved here, they'll know.
Oh, so they don't know beforehand?
No.
No, okay.
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
No one come
Just
here.
put the.
I already got it.
What's it, get something different?
Timber goes down.
Well, Wade had me change it so that the numbers, the resolution showed the actual grant. It wasn't in the original resolution because we didn't have those numbers until 4/20 yesterday.
This was the change that we made at the facilities committee meeting earlier today.
We just
It was
need to
requested-
check
I
that.
all got the... I was going to ask you that question because I saw that on the sheet.
So that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that, but
Okay, I have a motion to accept it. I need a second.
second.
Second, Doug. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Did you see that art vehicle in the train?
Did I miss something?
I just wanted to.
Hey, this facilities committee spent a lot of money, I just want to tell you. All right, so another 7,000 there,
Better be a-
8,000.
It's all grant money.
Is it a red truck?
It's all grant.
Blue and white, I think.
Blue and white. Blue and
Got a
white.
lot of lights on it flashing.
Freddie,
This is
I was told the other day that they're gonna name that new port access the FC Expressway. Chuck Kelly told me that, he says, is that true that that's gonna be the Fred Carter Expressway going up there?
My good friend Charles. He hasn't been down there since he fell in the hole that night.
Good goal. Strategically placed.
Fell right in the hole.
Did he fall?
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Yes,
like
sir.
to take an item out of order because it makes sense to do so at this point. That's the approval of the FAA grant on page 42 for the ARF vehicle. We need to, there's two parts. We need to approve the bid and we also need to accept the funding from FAA. Page 42 accepts the funding.
So are we rescinding the last motion?
Nope.
No.
There need to be two separate motions.
Okay.
We've already taken
Okay.
care
I
of
make a
one.
motion to approve 42.
Second.
Any comments or discussion, Wade? Different?
No, it's funded 95, 2.5, 2.5 between the FAA, New York State DOT, and OBPA.
Why is this not 5 and 5?
I'm sorry.
Isn't sometimes it's 5% that we pay?
On this project, it was 95, 2.5.
95, 2.5, 2.5. Okay. Oh, because DOT's involved.
Yeah, they
Ah,
do
that's
half of the
it.
five.
Half of the. Thank you, DOT. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We need a second.
Second, done.
No, Donnie,
I'm gonna have to start yelling.
Right with that.
Okay, Ray, take us
Your
back.
voice
That
is
brings us
also
back
on
over to
the
page
music
27.
department.
Agenda item B2, this is approval of a lease agreement with Leslie Parish. This is for the authority's instrument landing system. Current lease expires September 30th, 2012. This is for a one-year period, commencing October 1, 2012, expires September 30th, 2013.
so moved.
Second.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now over on page 29, agenda item C1, this is approval of a lease supplement with Allen Vanguard. This is for 7,140 square feet in the 11th Industrial Building at the corresponding rates, terms, and conditions that you see here for the term October 1, 2012 through June 30th, 2013.
I move it.
Second.
Second, Doug? Questions, comments?
Basically storage.
Storage, yes. Oh, and I'm sorry, the map is located on page 30. It shows you exactly the storage space that they're renting over in Building 11.
What else we have left over? Storage space, building space, square footage.
It is listed on the building occupancy report, which was earlier in your packet.
Is that in that packet?
Yeah.
Page 8.
Page 8.
Page 8 of the board report.
What, page 8?
Yep.
I must have looked at it.
68,000 square feet,
Oh, that's
64% occupied.
How much have we come down to last year, John? Where we lost more? Where we at?
We're about the same, I would say.
What, a year ago? About the same?
Yep. We picked up a little bit.
Which one is it? Same or up a little?
We picked up a little bit with Faro Technologies and with Straight Affairs took some extra space.
Yeah.
A couple smaller office areas have been rented.
Sounds like there's some nice potential there too with Farrell.
Yes.
There is.
New 6 months.
Okay,
We get that overpay down.
yeah, we got it. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, Doug, you
The
second.
mayor's hurt.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We already voted.
Did we vote?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we already did say it.
All right, my God. No, I was asking a question, how could that happen? I didn't ask the question.
Page 31
All
says.
right, I've been here for 9 hours straight.
On D1, this is.
You're way past your bedtime.
It's approval of a contract with L&M Enterprises. This is where the authority solicited bids from 6 local contractors for the removal of a temporary port access road. The 3 bids were received that you can see there, and as a result, we're recommending L&M at a cost not to exceed $13,800. Page 32 contains additional background information.
That's awful.
Steve, you happy with this?
Yeah.
You think he's okay with his
Yeah,
bid?
he's owner-operator, he's got another employee, and I think he'll hire trucks, he's got the topsoil.
Where's all the stuff that we're taking out of it?
Where it's going in a pile at the port,
Okay.
crushed stone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're keeping all that.
Oh, definitely, yes.
So a lot of it, we'll haul that out of there, and then basically a lot of it's just dozer work. And should they need any more material, that material up on the
Yeah.
hill, we'll bring back to them, and then they'll shape that, then they'll topsoil and seed it.
some of the bottom underneath that stone, we need to keep that too.
We're gonna need it, I think, Fred, over on the other people's property.
Oh, good, but I'm saying we need to keep that if we
Oh,
don't.
yeah, no, all-
That is good dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watch them
Yeah.
push it down and
No, that was that was real good.
It is.
But I think we'll just reshape that and use it in that area
Good,
of the other people's
good.
property.
Okay, motion?
I'll
A second.
Don, second was Steve, okay. Don, you get better, you really go. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now we're over on page 38 with agenda item D2. This is an approval of the agreement with C.H. Robinson Project Logistics. You recognize these folks probably as Transera. They're the wind logistics company. There are two agreements. This is the first one. We have one with the logistics company. We will have one with the ship when the time comes. This is strictly with the one with the logistics company. What this does, it brings in all the returns, excluding blade frames, at a one-time flat fee at the rates, terms, and conditions you see before you. And it also aligns this agreement with their master agreement, which expires December 31st.
After that,
Do we get $20,000 for the storage, right? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. That's from unloading trucks to place of rest and place of rest to underhook.
Say that again.
That is unloading trucks to place of rest and place of rest to underhook.
The hell are you talking about underhook?
Everything in the port side of the business is broken down into phases. And that was the purpose of my disclaimer at the front. This is only for 2 of the 3 phases. This is the logistics side of things.
Underhook
We'll have
when we get over to the dock.
another agreement with the ship.
This ship's not getting back up.
Do we gotta pay people to unload all this stuff or something?
Yes, we have longshoreman costs associated with that.
And that $20,000 is gonna cover that?
Yes.
And now we gotta load it on the ship? That's a
Yes.
different cost?
There will be a bill for the ship, yes.
And then the revenue stream there.
There are different parties that pay different parts of the loadout. So you've got the logistics company that pays from when it comes into the gate right up until the point it's loaded on the ship. The ship pays from basically underhook to place of rest in the ship. On the loading the ship. So what you're seeing is costs. You're seeing an agreement for 2 out of the 3 required steps that need to occur here. The third one you'll probably see next month.
How long will this take? Wait.
Steve, loading estimates based on the returns?
Are you talking about loading the ship?
No, we're talking about unloading the trucks and putting it down
No,
on the
that's
ground.
daily. All it is just to cover our expense. They'll come in with one of those dog houses. Basically, our forklift or our loader goes in, pulls it off, truck pulls out, we set it right down. So that's probably 10 minutes tops. Even
So
that.
it's actually gonna be done and performed by a regular warehouseman down there?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
when the time comes, we haul one at a time. We'll do the hauling, or they'll be in the right location. But the loader, this when it's time, he'll make a circuit. He'll grab one, take it, lay it right down there. Then the hook, like Wade says, they'll bring the ship's crane down, hook it up.
And that's, we're gonna get paid for that though, once we put it on the ground. And
We'll
it comes
get-
out of this 20,000. Then we're gonna pick it up and bring it over to the ship.
And that,
That gonna come out of the ship,
exactly.
that's another agreement.
Yeah.
We're gonna get paid for that.
Yeah, and then we'll also get paid for lashing it down. We have to put it all in place and make sure that's good to ship back to Europe.
Is that all right, Mr. Chairman?
it's perfect.
Motion made.
Second?
I'll second.
One second, Steve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next item is over on page 40. This is approval, item E1 is approval of an easement agreement with National Grid. There is a typo in this agreement. It's $1,600 total, not per year. This is for a 5-year agreement.
Need a motion? Motion to
So
accept?
moved.
And a motion to accept, second?
I'll second.
Second, Steve, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that
That's the-
concludes the regular business. There is a need for executive session for
There's more paperwork.
litigation, contract negotiations.
Make a motion to go into executive session for the following items that the
Second.
executive director has said, and anything comes out of it will be notified. If anything.
Okay, I have a motion to go to second.
Second.
Thanks, Steve, in favor? Aye.
Each, I'm gonna leave you a lot of stuff here. You put it in the files.